In twilight glow I see.
Nashville pretends to sleep, but anyone who has tuned a guitar knows the city wakes after midnight. The lights soften, the laughter lowers, and the secrets grow legs. You won't find these moments in glossy documentaries or museum captions. You catch them in rumors passed like contraband, in half smiles at back booths, in stories that stop one beat before the name you want most. People call it a velvet circle, not because velvet was literal, but because it muffled the noise and kept footprints soft. Careers were tuned there, reputations varnished there, boundaries tested there, and consequences scheduled for later. You learned which doors stayed open for music and which for favors, and how a quiet nod could buy a year of goodwill. The trick was simple: let the night be a rumor, and the morning be the truth, and keep your voice steady when the quiet got curious. That circle floated from lounge to tour bus to borrowed living room. No printed guest list existed, but invitations arrived anyway, folded inside a wink or a casual call. The rules were simple: speak softly, move quickly, and never pretend the most interesting moments happened on stage. People arrived with bravado and left with silence. It's where the outlaw boys tuned up after midnight, and the queens of the stage arrived late, took a reading of the room, and decided whether staying would add to the legend or subtract from tomorrow. It wasn't sinister so much as busy. Between a chorus and a favor, between a laugh and a promise, the next month's headlines were negotiated without anyone admitting they'd made a deal. If you stayed long enough, you learned how to leave early. Johnny Cash didn't enter that world as a statue. He walked in as a man who had outrun his shadow all day and needed a room where the lights were kind. He believed in redemption because the night is long and the road is longer. Some say he slipped through doors where journalists were never welcome, rooms without cameras where the band played low and favors changed price by the hour. He sang about prisons and mercy because both felt real after 2 a.m. He could electrify a tired crowd with one verse and then fall quiet when the song ended. Meet him near closing time, and you might hear gentle advice disguised as a joke, the sort that keeps a green kid out of trouble. He knew the difference between stumbling and falling and how to stand back up with dignity attached. June Carter Cash stood in those rooms like a lighthouse disguised as a laugh. People who were there swear she could stop trouble by starting a song and letting the harmony pull the heat out of the air. She played anchor without becoming an anchor chain, and she was nobody's ornament. In private corners, she kept a short list of people to call when a fixer was needed, and a shorter list of people to avoid even when the world insisted. Her genius wasn't dramatic, it was relentless kindness harnessed to steel. If the night began to tilt, she leveled it with a story or a look and saved more than one headline from being written. Some folks credit her with teaching a whole generation how to walk out of a room with both grace and privacy intact. Waylon Jennings wore the word outlaw like a jacket he'd scuffed on purpose, and the after-hours world fit him like denim. Studio hands say his gatherings didn't run on clocks, they ran on momentum. There's an old story about attention pounding a door, everyone inside pretending not to hear while Waylon laughed and turned the music up. By morning, there was no proof beyond a few tired smiles. Willie Nelson drifted through the same orbit like a comet in a cowboy hat, turning friendly pickin' into sunrise sessions where strangers told the truth. He knows the line between a rumor and a confession, and rarely crosses it. When Bills arrived, he turned trouble into folklore and folklore into a sing-along. Between them, the mood stayed simple. Play another verse, keep the circle small, and leave the room cleaner than you found it. Kris Kristofferson walked through the same doors and watched the same smoke curl to the ceiling. Brilliant, bold, invited everywhere, he moved like a man who could turn any room into a writing session. Friends say he knew the codes, the unspoken rules about who to nod to and when to leave early. He could hold court with a phrase and end a debate with a shrug. The inner circles respected him because he respected the music first. That didn't mean he missed the whispers. It meant he didn't need to repeat them. He carried other people's secrets like sheet music folded into a jacket pocket, kept for reference and never shown around. If you asked him what really happened, he smiled and talked about rhyme schemes. If you listened closely, the rhyme was the answer. Dolly Parton glows like a chandelier and cuts like a diamond. She laughs when the world expects a flinch, and somehow the joke lands soft and sharp at once. For decades, people have tried to peer behind her front gate and swear they saw something moving in the shadows. Maybe they did. Maybe they saw a woman protecting the 1 square mile of life she refuses to sell. Folks mention private gatherings at her place like they're reciting a spell. She smiles, sings, and lets the rumors eat themselves. She has always been friendly with mystery and ruthlessly loyal to privacy. In a town where attention wants a spare key to every room, the clever move is to own the house and the locks. She owns both, and the stories arrive at her porch only if she wants them to. Tammy Wynette carried a tone that could crack open a memory you planned to keep sealed. Whispers swirled about late-night visits to rooms where only a handful of artists were allowed. Did anything happen in those rooms? Something always happens in those rooms. Alliances, grudges, snapshots without cameras, promises that age like wine or like milk. People say she once stepped into a hallway with the look of someone who had just signed a contract she couldn't read out loud. She sang about standing by someone and knew the cost of the pledge. Loyalty is heavy at 3 in the morning when the lights go soft and the favors get tall. She wore both the crown and the weight like a veteran who knows the uniform and the bill that comes with it. Loretta Lynn kept the country honest by telling the truth in a melody bright enough to travel. She had a way of knowing who was on the make and who was worth taking home to meet Mama. Insiders hinted she knew everything that moved in the night, even if she rarely joined the crowd. Maybe she walked through once to see for herself, then walked right back out with a smirk that said she'd seen enough. She could clap your shoulder and tell you to behave, and you would, because disobeying a woman like that felt like bad manners and bad luck rolled together. She didn't need to expose a secret to win the room. She just needed to sing. The song did the rest, and the room decided to act right. George Jones didn't just sing about heartbreak. He shook hands with it and remembered birthdays. The public saw the binges and the glorious comebacks. The whispers say the better stories took place behind velvet curtains where laughter tilted toward a dare. Some claim he could turn a dead night into a legend, with one crooked grin and a half-finished joke. He loved risk like some folks love strong coffee, and it kept him moving when sleep would have been wiser. The brutal math is he paid for it. Most people do. The long applause doesn't erase the tally, it just delays the conversation until everyone can handle it. He kept singing anyway, and the songs kept breaking hearts evenly. That's a kind of courage. Show up again with the truth still in your pocket. Hank Williams Jr. walks like a man who's already been challenged twice before he steps through a door. Outspoken, intense, tempered by fire, he carried the family name like a crown made of wire. Some claimed he knew where the city's wildest nights were buried and exactly who held the shovel. He could start a conversation that ended 3 days later and still feel unfinished. Say what you want about him. He never pretended to be anybody's choir boy. He kept the volume high and the company interesting, and if that shook a chandelier or two, the ceiling probably needed testing. The outlaw myth sounds fun until you meet the invoice. He met it, argued with it, and sometimes paid it in installments. Either way, the man didn't hide from his echo. Reba McEntire shines with a poise that makes rumor feel small. She runs a tight ship, and that ship has survived storms that would sink bigger fleets. People like to pin wild tales to anyone that famous, but the catalog that matters is stacked with discipline and sharp choices. Still, some say she once stepped into a room, took one breath, and turned on her heel with a smile that ended the party before it started. Sometimes the greatest flex is refusing the spectacle. The Velvet Circle remembers who leaves with grace. Reba's grace is work, not accident. She treats attention like a tool, not a meal. You can build with a tool. A meal disappears. That's why her kingdom stands tall and her name feels clean even when the rumor mill begs for crumbs. Conway Twitty had a voice that could sell a secret and make you feel lucky to buy it. Charismatic, adored, perfectly mannered when the spotlight hit, he carried whispers like confetti clinging to a tuxedo. Some believe he lived a second life when the audience left, the kind you hear about from drivers, bartenders, and friends who never speak on the record. He understood attention the way a pilot understands wind shear. Tilt a little, compensate, land smooth, and leave the crowd certain you meant every word. If there was a second life, it stayed second. If there was a first, it earned the ovations. Either way, he moved through the city like a gentleman who knew the cost of being interesting and paid in advance. Barbara Mandrell looked like Sunday morning in a world that ran on Saturday night. Elegant, composed, the sort of star who could make a green room feel like a boardroom, she carried her own gravity. Rumor had it she had access to a certain red room somewhere in the city, a nickname more than a map, a place where deals grew faster than headlines. Maybe she stood in that doorway once, read the situation in 5 seconds, and decided she had better places to be. Power isn't always about staying late. Sometimes it's choosing not to be impressed. Barbara learned early that a reputation for elegance buys better protection than noise. You can walk past a secret if your stride is confident. You can also shut a door with a smile and be thanked for it. Glenn Campbell sang Velvet and lived Thunder, a man who kept showing up even after the night took its cut. Insiders whisper about lounges where the band never stopped and the clock looked away. He loved hard, lost hard, and kept moving, turning chaos into something that sounded like forgiveness. Tanya Tucker walked into similar rooms with her chin up and her boots loud, already famous, already unafraid. Stories stick to her like stage glitter. The ones she likes sparkle, the rest slide off by the next encore. Some nights, the guest list read like a greatest hits album, and the conversations could have filled a tabloid for a year. Together their legends say this much: fame tests your balance, and the surest answer is to keep your feet under the beat. What did the legends actually see? They saw talent trip and get back up. They saw friendship hold back a storm. They saw rooms without windows and mornings that felt like court. They saw how quickly a laugh could become a dare and how easily a dare could become a scar. They saw crowds that turned wounded men into saints for 3 minutes at a time. They saw candles burning at both ends and extending the night by force. They saw good people make bad choices and carry them with dignity. They saw the price tag on applause and the way a quiet day can feel like salvation. They saw the machine blink, stall, and sing itself out beautiful, and that's the only miracle the circle trusts. Behind closed doors, the real chessboard wasn't always romance. Sometimes it was logistics. Who could introduce whom? Who could smooth a headline? Who could quietly fix a mess that would have eaten a month of goodwill by breakfast? People talk about fixers like they're magicians, but most of the time they're just folks with fast phones and short sleep. A manager knows a club owner who knows a cop who knows an aide who can make sure the story never grows legs. Not because anyone is saintly, not because anyone is doomed, but because careers are rivers and rivers prefer to keep moving. When the current caught the wrong person, someone upstream opened a gate. Call it politics, call it courtesy, call it survival. It kept more than one chorus from being expensive. When folks say Dolly never had scandal, they mean paperwork, not imagination. When they say Waylon's nights were legendary, they mean gravity, the pull that drags sound and souls into a single chord. When they say Johnny and June steadied each other, they're admitting a truth known in the quiet hours. When they say Willie kept the party rolling, they mean he made trouble seem survivable. Reba proves command without cruelty. Conway shows a gentleman can still make rumor lean forward. Barbara demonstrates that elegance erases noise. Hank Jr. reminds everyone that volume invites consequence. Loretta proves honesty can outshine spectacle. Tammy shows how loyalty bends and doesn't break. Kris proves mystery can be respectful. Glenn and Tanya remind the room that courage sometimes looks like showing up again tomorrow. If you came looking for confessions written in ink, you'll be disappointed. The best truths don't sign autographs. They wink, they hum, they sit in the corner and wait for you to connect the dots. What's on the record is a backbone, sure, but what breathes are the tales traded between friends who set down their guitars and trust each other for 5 minutes. So we end where the night ends, right before the sky forgets it was ever black. The city yawns, the last chorus fades, and the folks who've been up too long start promising to do better tomorrow. Some will succeed, some will try again, and the music will forgive them all in different keys. If you believe every whisper, you'll miss the point. If you ignore them, you'll miss the fun. The truth lives in the middle, where a laugh becomes a lyric and a rumor becomes a reminder. Keep the whispers if you need them. Keep the proof if you have it. Keep the music most of all. In a town where a rumor crosses the river faster than a boat, songs are the only passports that never expire. The circle fades when the band hits the downbeat, and the one that matters is formed by strangers swaying together, forgetting details, remembering feeling. Late rooms rarely keep their promises. Daylight does. Listen closely and you can still hear the velvet circle between shows. A curbside laugh, a hallway glance, a chorus nobody wrote down. Let the night stay rumor and the morning stay truth. Keep walking. The stories will follow, the songs will last, and the secret worth guarding is the one that keeps people singing. Hum the chorus once more for luck, and let the echo ride tonight.